$1,000.62. You'll see bills totaling $16,512.21, and the fire tax fund $159. Are there any questions about the bills that are being presented? Can we have a motion to accept and approve payment of the bills?
So moved.
Second.
Motion been moved and seconded for payment of bills. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed. Motion passes. Public hearing.
We do have one.
Okay.
This is from K. Oswald, 253 Elm Street. First, I would like to say that I'm thankful that the street cleaner will be coming through to get all these nuts from the trees of the administration building. I, for one, am always concerned about stepping on one and falling. There are thousands of them out there.
This is like here, this building?
No, actually,
Elm Street.
Oh, Elm Street, down at the school. Okay.
parenthesis, I wish they would cut the trees down.
They will be.
I've lived here since 1996. However, this is the first year that they have made everyone move their cars on both sides of the street on the same day. Where are the people supposed to park? Should everyone flood the parking lot of the administration building?
Yes.
How many homes have 3 cars, or many homes have 3 cars, husband, wife, and a driving teenager? Some spots in the back alley hold 2 cars, but some only will hold 1. The street cleaning used to be only one side, and then a few days or even a week later was done on the other side. Whoever thought it was a good idea to clear both sides of the street needs to go. They obviously have no critical thinking skills or common sense.
Well, I will answer that in general. What? Yes.
There is.
Both sides of the street were marked, but each sign had a stake saying one said Thursday on the even side for the 8th, and the other side said Friday for the 9th. They were both marked different.
So you have to go read to her?
I guess.
So there will be street sweeping tomorrow too.
Correct.
All right.
That is the input.
Asked and answered. Thank you for the public input. Borough Engineer, report.
Okay, and you can see, Old Turnpike resubmitted plans again. They provided the parking that meets the future parking. And you can see that on the second page. The additional parking they provided is in the future parking area off to the west, northeast. I'm sorry. They had 17 parking spaces up there, where before they only had 16.
Do we have any action on this then?
They have submitted a cost estimate for the sidewalk,
That's gross.
but they only provided sidewalk that was 4 feet wide instead of 5 feet wide. So the cost estimate is
Insufficient, but certainly within not 25% or 20% sufficient.
well, it went from $10,456 up to $13,385.
So 33%. Wow, that's interesting. Anyway, so we could approve this if we state that the escrow amount has to be for a 5-foot
Yes.
sidewalk, as the zoning and land development require.
They also need to put together their improvement agreement so that it could be sent over to Joan to review.
I have a form improvements agreement.
But this escrow should be attached to it.
Yeah. Does council want to go ahead and approve the plan as presented with those 2 caveats?
There should be one more
What's that?
payment of a final invoice for.
Review of, yeah. So we have 3 conditions. One, there's a final invoice for plan review, and then second would be the escrow for sidewalks to match the required 5-foot instead of 4-foot, and agreement of all the maintenance plan
The improvements.
improvements.
Yeah.
Is there a second motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed. Motion passes. Ty, you won't have anything else to work on the rest of the year.
You will also notice that there's an update on Acro Labs.
Oh,
Uh,
it says report yet. You want to update us on Agri Labs?
it's also my
Oh,
report.
go ahead, you
Did
steal.
you notice my name's on the bottom of?
No, I did not. Go ahead.
Okay,
What page is this?
that's the second step, keep going, you're trying to get that financial. Acro Labs had their design professionals contact the borough. They were sent to sidewalk and curb requirements. So that process should be in place. The stormwater plan that we were waiting for the shopping center, they've been given 30 days to get a plan to us.
Okay.
Or, I think a year is long enough to wait.
It sounds like though with Agri Labs that they've taken a substantial step towards the compliance.
Yes.
We have given them a couple of notice letters reminding them of their obligations under the conditional use decision from 2015.
Did we get them a deadline?
We had given them a deadline,
Yeah,
yes.
strongly worded, communications. Anything else?
No, that's all I have.
Great. Anything zoning officer code enforcement? Nope. Borough solicitor?
I believe you've covered my item.
Great. Mayor, have a report for us, or are you gonna go rogue tonight?
How about an informal report?
That's out of work.
Okay,
Informal reports are limited to 2 minutes.
I can do that.
Okay.
Our Central Berks Police report for March shows nothing remarkable. Calls as usual involving motor vehicles have created the majority of the calls. As a matter of fact, they were exactly half of the calls reported on here. You see that I brought my little green hat with my white flowers that I promised last meeting I would bring spring.
You did.
Good
You
job.
were successful.
There's one more item I would like to put out, and that is Tuesday, May 18th is primary election day.
Yes.
Everybody vote.
Vote. Yep.
Outstanding.
That's my informal report, Mr. President.
Thank you much.
Okay, may I ask you a question, or just make a comment? Reflecting on the shooting and the death in Muhlenberg, where there was obviously a disturbed individual in a room that was, I believe, locked, and the police got in there and ended up shooting him to death. Don't know what was said, but what would our department do under those? Are they trained to try to de-escalate?
Yes, they have been trained to de-escalate, and it's a very vital part of the new recruits.
Okay, good. That's exactly what I wanted to hear, that the people that are protecting our residents would try to de-escalate a situation like that. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Also, thank you for your donations for the tree purchase.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
Committee reports, budget finance, resolution 848-2021, fee schedule.
Yeah, that's the update and add, basically like an application fee to a couple of different items that we didn't have before. We had spend down accounts for plan reviews and stuff, but never any kind of fee for the, you don't have a fee schedule in your packet.
Oh,
So it doesn't work the paper. It's minor changes. This like, I'm trying to remember.
like less than $10 or something like that?
No,
Oh,
it's, for the saldo, it's a $200
flat fee.
application fee, and then the other part, which is the holding for plan review and is returned. Anything that has a spend down account is going to now have an application fee, $50 for the smaller stuff, and for the major stuff, $200.
Some of this has been a rash of like people wanting to come in and ask questions about certain commercial properties. And rather than paying to have a consultant or something, they want to, you know, talk about it with staff, borough staff, solicitor, sometimes even maybe an engineer. And I think it's more prudent that we actually say, listen, we're not going to discuss anything till you apply. You know, so they need to put money up front because it's not really fair to the rest of the citizens if we spend 4 hours talking to a real estate person who's trying to market a property, you know, and not, you know, get reimbursed for any time staff should be doing other things than, you know, helping that real estate agent. So I think that's part of the application fee philosophy. So.
Just a question for Joan, I guess, with other municipalities that you represent and what you know, is that a typical type of thing? Or if somebody called and just wanted like a 15-minute conversation, would that be allowed? How do you control it?
The way you control it is when they want a meeting and they want more than just you know, small amount of guidance, a 5-10 minute phone call. They sign an MOU in many municipalities for the cost of the professional review fees or consultations. Like, for example, we had in one township in a meeting to try to resolve some sewer issues, and I was there, and the township sewer engineers were there, and the developer was there. The issue was plant capacity and re-rating issues because there might not be sufficient capacity for development. And they signed a memorandum of understanding to pay the professional fees for attendance at the meeting, for example.
This was a little bit different than that.
Right.
We have the subdivision and land development. You have $1,000 deposit, and then want to do 10 lots. I'm just going off the top of my head, or like $50 or $20. That is all goes into a spend down account, the same as the floodplain permit, the stormwater management permit. But there's administrative costs to all those spend down accounts. So this is an attempt to recover some of those administrative costs up front to monitor those spend down accounts as we go through the process. So for land development, it's a 200 or 250, and I copied Exeter's fee schedule from 2018 for dollar amounts. Application fee to cover the administrative expense for that whole time, and then the other is spend down.
Right, this is for the protection of the taxpayers. This is private land development work, and the taxpayer should not have to pay for a private benefit conferred, and this is an attempt to remedy that.
There's also an intent on my part is, you know, 15-minute conversation on the phone is not, you know, what I think this is targeted at. This is someone comes in and requests a meeting and it takes more than 15 minutes. And the fact that I really don't like conversations like that in meetings when they're asking questions. I'd rather see that all documented in emails or, you know, written communication, so there's no misunderstanding of what gets discussed and things like that. And sometimes that helps. If they have to put money up front, that helps solidify all that. So is there a motion to adopt resolution 848-2021 fee schedule?
So moved.
Motion been moved, seconded to adopt the fee schedule. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Motion passes. Streets and lights, anything to report?
Just we have to go back and approve the street sweeping because they normally do this later. This is when they schedule this, so.
So it was like now or later.
It was now or possibly never.
Yeah,
Oh.
basically.
Yeah.
Because they gave us the dates back like the third week in March.
So what was the total cost estimate for that?
It's $2,500.
$2,500?
Make a
There was
motion.
$400 extra for St. Lawrence Avenue, but the state came through and did St. Lawrence Avenue, so we canceled that.
Yeah, I think I had asked for that because it made no sense to me to sweep all our streets and have the St. Louis Avenue all dirty all the time. So for $400, it makes sense, but
And we've
they
done
outwitted us again.
that. We've done that.
Yeah, so
Make a motion for the street sweeping for $2,500. Second.
most moved and seconded for street sweeping approval for $2,500. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion passes.
Okay.
Part of it was today, right?
Yeah.
Today and tomorrow.
On that one side of the street on the,
Eighth was even side and ninth was odd.
it's better than the shaded side that Mount Penn has, the shaded side and the natural side. Planning Commission annual report from 2020.
The planning commission met one time.
Wow.
In there for you to, look at and.
All right. Moving on, sewer.
You
I'm sorry.
wanna, we did have a meeting
Yeah.
about the old book which you died.
And that was it?
I don't know,
Oh,
I don't know if,
oh, you had
no,
one
this is this year.
I'm sorry.
This
go
is
ahead.
just since the last meeting,
Oh, how'd it go?
and, I thought you might be interested.
Since we never get written reports from the planning commission, yeah, say forth.
They came and there were a couple of local people from Exeter, and I think both of them were from the Exeter area, would like to purchase the land, and they had several possible options, but the most viable one is make it apartments. They realized it's in a floodplain, they could not have parking on ground level, so they're looking at elevated parking, using part of the building space for indoor or parking.
They can't have parking in the floodplain as long as the building's up above the elevation? Because I see that all through Conshohocken, where if you go, or Norristown, where they
I
build all
don't think they're
those
allowed 24-hour parking. and
You're
stuff.
not allowed to have overnight.
overnight parking.
Overnight parking.
Yeah.
You can have parking, visitor parking and stuff like that, but can't be overnight. So, that seems to me to be one of the very, few things that they could possibly use that building for. They talked about making it their company headquarters type of thing, but then the parks, it just,
They wanted to store stuff there.
they want to make it a storage unit, for storage units. But their preference at this time is for apartments. And they referred to them as luxury apartments. I think were the exact words. That they would like.
With a creek view.
Yeah, so we gave them, I'll say support in that we thought that as long as we said, look, you have to meet the conditions of the floodplain, you have to meet our ordinances, I'm sure you said there probably most likely be a variance. Some variances you're going to require.
Did they actually have a sketch plan or anything?
One other question, no.
They are most definitely going to have to go to the zoning hearing
Yeah,
board
right.
because the primary,
Yeah, that's why I was just gonna come out.
In the
It's an
port-
industrial,
Yeah, it's industrial zone for industrial.
which is because it was an industrial site,
Right.
which I question, is that what it should be going forward? That if we look at rezoning and stuff, to modify that, because it's surrounded by residential and parkland and.
What would that cost us to rezone that?
we're
Well,
about,
before you get into that,
We'll work for the rest of the year.
the apartment
Yeah,
is minimum acreage is 5 acres.
yes, well, that's
The
good. What is
zoning
that?
has only 3 acres, so you would be zoning it for a non-compliant.
Fine, right,
Yeah.
right. We mentioned there would be zoning things such as that. I think we did point out that the acreage was insufficient.
in this case, no matter what, they have to go to the zoning hearing board because if they do more than 50% of the current value of the building and work on the building, you have to go to the zoning hearing board because you need to bring it up to the current flood levels. Having said that, then the recommendation that we would have to them is go through planning for the whole thing so that you only go to the zoning hearing board once.
Right. Yeah, and it would, they were talking about filling in the whole ground floor. So it would be.
Yeah.
Not even the basement, it would be filled.
Did they give you any indication they would be coming back in the near future?
They just
Or they're
were
gonna-
happy to see that we were open to the idea. And you know, my opinion is something like this. If we can't do something like this, that will be that will be an eyesore for the borough forever. I don't know what else we would ever find a use for that. And in any way that we can help support this without compromising, our requirements.
Well, we can't waive,
Right.
flood zone.
Right, that's why we made that very clear to them.
Yeah, so, it ends up being almost like a park if you can't do anything else.
And we also, I brought up to them the fact that the bridge may not be there in the future. I didn't want them to put money into it.
Yeah,
And then a year later, we're taking the bridge out.
Yeah.
So Warren, are they talking about raising the existing structure and starting new? or
No,
utilizing?
utilizing most of it.
So that's still a viable structure,
Yes,
other than the way.
the roof would have to be replaced and stuff, but they now have to go and have an engineer go and verify all that.
But like the exoskeleton is still,
They believe it's still.
So they have a concept, now they have to sort of flesh out the concept.
Right. But they left with getting, yes, if you want to go ahead and dig into the, have the engineering work done. Go ahead, but.
I did get asked for an update to an environmental that was done in December of last year.
Almost any commercial property evaluation now has to have an environmental assessment on it,
So
so.
they'll have to. So,
Okay, excellent. Yep. Sanitary sewer, we have a request here from, actually from Phoebe Home, where they had paid their water sewer bill dated 1/08. They received it in the mail on 1/15 with a due date on 2/08. Their payment was mailed out on 1/29, but it didn't clear till 02/10, which caused them to have a late fee. They think that because, Mount Penn, forgave the late fee for the, water, they asking St. Lawrence to waive the sewer late fee. I'm sorry, I forgot, you showed me what the amount was, it was like $200?
Bills on the back.
Huh?
I
Oh,
think it's $142.50.
yeah. So they're asking, if the council would like to waive $142.50.
well, this is just one more example of, I've heard of a number of people, mortgage payments, getting the mortgage bills late. It's a US mail issue. And,
And
personally.
they didn't know about it? Everybody knew the mail's been really bad for the last 6 months, especially before Christmas,
Are we sure it's a mail issue?
Well,
this was after Christmas.
This is after Christmas, yeah.
Does, Mount Penn Borough Authority take like PayPal or,
They have a website. It's through.
they could have done this electronically?
Express Pay. I use that exclusively.
Yeah, so they had other means than a check to pay, I'm sure. So,
do we know if they've been late repeatedly?
I don't know, they repeat the, I don't know.
They claim that they haven't been.
Never.
on time. It's almost written like this is gonna come out of her paycheck if she.
For our message or payments on time.
I being the heartless person say no, any other council discussion? Or if you wanna float a, proposal to waive such a fee?
I did get something in the mail today asking that I respond by March 15th, so, they're all legitimate mail.
Right.
issues.
Yeah, I believe, it actually happened to me. Hey, I forget what utility it was. I still write checks and put stuff in the mail. But I mailed it like 2 weeks before it was due, and then next month I got a late fee. It was only a couple bucks, but it was like late. I mailed it like 10, 15 days before it was due. So part of me believes this lady.
No one's thinking it's a fraud, background.
Another part of me says it's $142. I'd be willing to forgive.
Is there a motion and a second to forgive that?
I would make a motion to
I'll second.
forgive the.
Motion moved second to forgive the payment.
It's a one-time forgiveness.
Yeah. So we have to refund them $142 out of the sewer fund. Correct?
Yeah.
I'm not sure they paid it.
Huh?
I'm not sure they paid the bill yet. I think they did not pay the late fee. I think they're asking for it to be waived.
Oh, you think they short paid?
I don't think that, I don't know.
Yeah, they're just asking if the late fee be waived.
Oh, there is for it to be waived, okay,
Yes.
so no transaction has occurred.
I
There's
would-
a-
I- I would guess that, having looked at this, that the balance at billing after the last payment was received, that the late fee was $518.
I think it's $518.
Yeah, because if you look, it's right on there, late penalty,
And those other
518.12.
charges, they
But
were
what-
charged.
what portion of that is not been BMA, what
Well,
portion of that
if you
is
look
us?
at the water charges and the sewer charges on the current bill,
Right,
they're very similar, and it's a 10% penalty, so it could be half of that, it could be two. I don't know exactly what the penalty was, because I don't know the breakout of the bill that they paid. You can only surmise, looking at this, that it's very similar, so it would be
Right, we said that.
245.72, or just depends. I'd have to check with Steve, and then they would just give them a credit and reduce the amount that we would be forwarded from Mount Penn.
so, for a point of clarification, Steve, would you like to maximize the credits as we're unclear on Mount Penn Borough Authority billing, what the exact amount is the fee?
Up to the.
Up to $250?
That current
Well,
bill,
you-
and I don't wanna go to month two. Yeah, I guess,
Okay.
Our best guess is gonna be around $247, so you wanna max it to
up to maximum 300.
$300. So there's a point of clarification on the motion. We would forgive or waive the late fee up to $300. So I'm gonna call a vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye, and maybe raise your hand.
Aye.
If it counted, all five, all opposed? I certainly oppose. So there you go. Fee has been waived.
Who seconded that?
I seconded
Okay,
the original
thank you.
one, and I'll keep the second option.
Just for a reminder, these are the same people who refused to pay us for the alley. And we did all their property.
That's why we said it was a
And then
one-time,
roofing,
this
and
is a
the roofing
one-time
permit
price.
that they got.
Before we went further, is there a way to word that they don't just take the $300 as a credit? Is that saying up to?
Now, we're,
I will make sure I know exactly what the penalty was, and we'll
Yeah, we'll-
make sure that.
We want to see proof of waiver for next meeting.
I will.
I want to let them know this is a one-time thing, that don't ask to forget.
Yeah, that's what it
Yes.
says, yes.
Yeah.
You can pay online. There is another
Exactly.
option.
Expresspay.com.
And I've done that too. I got my bill 2 days before it's due. I'm like, oh crap,
Yeah,
I gotta go and money.
the only additional thing we could have asked for is to see the canceled check to verify it was written before.
You guys are getting way too complicated. Should have just voted no. It's made life easier. Trash and recycling, anything to report? Nothing.
Last
Recreation.
week, they did make a mistake and they apologized numerous times. It was actually getting annoying. That they had this, different driver on and they picked up trash before recycling.
No.
So they apologized numerous times. I said, don't let that happen again.
It's your one time. That's your mulligan for the year.
That's your moment.
Yeah. Anything else, recreation board wise or anything? Nope. Emerging major coordinator, anything, Dave?
Nothing to.
Zoning, nothing, no meeting? Municipal lands?
Yes,
Go ahead.
in one of my walks, a couple weeks ago, I found a patch, now it's way in the back of our property, of probably a dozen or so lantus trees. So if somebody would like to come with a hatchet after, in the spring, when it's leafing out and stuff, then it's the best to girdle them, because it's putting all its energy into the.
Are you, heading up there in the near future? Like, we take some yellow caution or pink tape and you can wrap that and we can send Hatchet Jen up, maybe to.
Well, I'll coordinate with them.
Okay.
You want to do it? I mean, it's way back, it'll take quite a while, it's the height back there.
I'll say while we're here, I guess I did want to say, I want to update the fire trail up there, make sure that's accessible with recent brush fires. so I do want to take a trek out there and make sure that it's open as possible.
We want to coordinate with Councilman Warren? on this?
Yeah, I know we just had a recent brush fire on Stoner, which, that came
Yeah,
across. my
transformer
concern level.
exploded.
Yeah.
They came up on Tesla up there or something?
They came up on the street looking for it, or else it's,
Okay, so Municipal Lands, we got updated insurance, anything?
No.
Newsletter went out.
Next one will be going out once we have a determination on the summer playground program.
Library liaison, anything new?
No report?
Borough manager, anything else to report?
No, under new business.
Firefighter tax relief ordinance,
It's in there.
it's in our packet.
I'll review it. It's gonna need to, Joan is going to need to review it, but this is the basics. I only got it finished today, getting the process.
So in general, follows the guidelines that the state did. We have modified that, so it's more of a refund than anything else because the state guidelines that were more tax collector intensive, so to
Well, it
speak.
was tax, for Berks EIT,
T and
and
that was gonna be,
I don't even know how they expected the tax collector.
it was gonna be ponderous if you followed the straight guidelines.
Yes, and it was done as a credit certificate that you're supposed to issue to be used for the reimbursement, I would assume, from EIT as an applicant. I don't even know how EIT was doing that. It's just simpler for the potential 3 people to issue a refund from the office. So I tried to
Weave through all that.
weave through what the state was saying, but make it work for us.
Is there any questions or comments, or do you want to go ahead and potentially approve upon final review of the solicitor?
For advertisement.
And for advertisement, after review of the solicitor, we would advertise it?
Do you want me to review it this month and advertise if it's acceptable for the May meeting, or come back with a report in May to advertise for June?
Just advertise it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna change.
I don't think that the substance isn't, the wording may, but the substance.
Okay, I'll review it, and if I'll give a report back to Allison, if everything seems to be in order, then we'll either make minor changes if necessary, otherwise advertise it for the May meeting.
Very good. So is there a motion as such that we,
Do you want me to just give the highlight of 2 changes that people may want to converse about?
sure,
The one is that the application for the reimbursement has a deadline of 30 days after the local income tax filing deadline, which for this year would make it 30 days after May 17th.
It's usually would be 30 days after April 15th.
Right, and the certification from the fire company still needs to come in January. We're gonna have to work on that process because that's the one part of state law that said it has to be issued at least 45 days prior to the taxes being issued. Now, we're delaying the issuing of taxes until it's an application. If everything's in the application, it gets certified that it's complete. It gets matched to the eligibility list. Once it's certified by the manager, it comes to council for approval. Once that's approval, that acts as the certificate, which then goes into reimbursement of the taxes, both real estate and earned income. It was the easiest process to come up.
so sort of like how you pay approval bills, that's how it comes back to council, so it's shown as an expenditure.
It is a yearly cycle thing, yes. And you're always, for us, we're always reimbursing
The
the
previous year, so.
All right, send it to me in Word so that.
Yeah.
I can be able to-
And yes, and it is at the 50%, which is what Exeter passed, the 50% property tax. And up to 500 on the earned income tax is still there yet.
There's a motion to have a final review by the solicitor prior to publication for action in our next meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Motion been moved and seconded. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye, all opposed, an abstention, one abstention,
Actually,
as noted. All right. New business, community project funding support for Mount Penn Borough Municipal Authority. So you have a letter in the file where apparently all 7 well pumps and accessories are all due to wear and tear all at the same time. And, you know, now they have to go upgrade them at $351,000, which somehow doesn't make sense because you're supposed to have an asset management plan and never have like a $350,000 replace all 7 pumps in your system all at the same time. So there may be some wordsmithing here to help show some urgency, but I'm not, I hope there was more detail than this.
Unfortunately, the current superintendent of the water system for Mount Penn Borough inherited a previous plan that was not a plan, and is trying to do the catch up with maintenance and repair and everything else that had been not done, which is why they've had several major projects going on.
Yeah, do they issue bonds? Are they under GASB 34? You know, once again, GASB 34 is the accounting standards, which we refuse to adhere to because it's primarily for investment in bonds and things like that. And they require every asset that the authority owns to be rated, what's its status, what should be replaced, as it being maintained, blah, 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 amortization for everything. So, you know, to me, this letter is like, how can this possibly occur? But I don't want to argue that, you know, they're looking for funding, so.
That 351,000 is well below what you would even do a bond issue for. It's as the problem we ran into.
I'm just trying to frame how it's supposed to be managed.
Well, they're looking for grant money, right?
It's the grant funding that was opened up by the Appropriations Committee and the Congress.
Yep.
There's very limited number of projects. They're gonna go for it because it's something that they have that's ready, that they plan to do. So they're
Shovel ready.
And regardless of whether their previous plans were adequate or not, and having whether it's 7 pumps or not, if they don't get grant money, then they have to take that on.
They have to fund it themselves.
They have to fund it themselves. And who funds them?
We do, technically.
Yeah.
Our residents will, in higher water bills.
Right.
Make a motion, we send a letter of support to Mount Penn Borough Municipal Authority for their 7 well project.
I'll second that.
No, the letter's supposed to go
It goes
to
to,
Congressman Houlihan.
Yes.
It's going back.
Oh, it's going back to them, to them, in their packet.
I'll put a packet together.
All right. I'm sorry, motion was made, was it seconded?
I second it.
not the hand delivered.
Email.
Motion was made, seconded to write a letter of support for Mount Penn Borough Municipal Authority's well replacement, well pumps and accessory replacement. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed. Motion passes. Any comments?
Yeah,
Council?
I have new business.
No. First, are there any general comments of council? If not, we'll go to new business. Go ahead.
Okay. We received a letter requesting an increase from our $500 municipal support for the Center for Excellence in Local Government, but for our size municipality, 500 has been a excellent donation to them for operation, but if council wants to increase that,
Did they ask for a specific amount?
no, they just asked for more.
Do they have a sliding scale now, like if you're a mule bird?
500 to.
Do you pay more if you're a mule
1,000
bird or something?
like that.
I have no idea.
I don't know either.
We're
I don't
in
know
the
what
same
how they're
support
funded.
level as.
I know it's by donations, but I don't know how.
So there's no tier of donations like.
It's like 500 to 1,000, 1,000, then
Based on size of the municipality?
now,
Based on what you contributed before.
based on what, they have different levels of sponsorship. And we always went to basically what other municipal sponsors were doing other than the county of Berks and the city of Reading. So we're in there with other.
With another handful.
With other municipalities that are larger.
So is this a letter that went to every municipality?
Oh, yeah, they asked
So
every
this
year.
isn't targeted at us. it's
No,
just,
No.
I think we should go platinum. What would that be?
No,
That's fine, it's like,
no.
each of us around the table could give us $2 for.
The mayor would be good for another 50, I'm pretty sure.
I would just leave it at
trying to say
500
it
and done with it.
Terrible times with the COVID.
We do
everybody,
500
it
and I
is
would just leave it at
impossible
500.
for us to-
If there's no, we'll let the minutes reflect that the council was made aware of the request. Unless I hear a motion, we'll move on to the next one. No action will be taken.
So we'll give the $500 as we can do.
Well, we gave you the $500.
Right.
And you should never give on the first ask. You should always stretch it out. Make them really.
I ignored it last year.
Hey, Roadmaster, when's the plaque gonna be mounted? Are we waiting on moving the electric?
I'm planning on doing that this month, as the goal is to have it up by Memorial.
Okay,
That's still a plan to have Memorial Day or Memorial Week induction kind of thing.
We talked about either doing Memorial Day or Veterans Day, depending on how COVID goes.
Yeah.
ooh, I don't know. That's a good question. We're gonna somewhat quasi plan something or just wait until things clear later in the year? Maybe like Veterans Day or something.
Yes.
Yeah, we're having a meeting on Veterans Day. That's council meeting in November.
That's
Oh, well,
convenient.
Yeah, that would work out beautiful.
We might have a better ceremony and participation if we push later in the year.
Yeah, because the
I think that makes more
I think
sense.
that's
But we still want to see it up on Memorial Day.
I'll still put it out. We'll
Yeah.
have it on day on the
I don't want to see Atlantis getting whacked, in replacement of the plaque. Anything else by council?
I got an email from Hunter Aarons, who's on the school board,
Oh, yeah.
and he was asking me whether or not we had ever passed an ordinance on Murdoch, which is
Yeah.
right, and I said, I am 99% sure, no, we have not, but I would just verify that at the council meeting. And the answer is no, I will tell him no. And for those who are wondering where there was a local,
It's a tax abatement that phases in the amount of increase in the property, the tax on the property value by 10% a year for improvements on the property. It's used a lot for major industrial and commercial development projects as an incentive. The 10% of the value is taxable the first year up until the 10th year when it is 100% taxable.
Has Hunter been reassigned as our contact?
I don't know.
I think-
I do not think he's running for reelection.
Oh,
He's not running for reelection. No.
Is he living in the borough?
No,
Why would he inquire about that?
I think he's our liaison.
no, the liaison was, I think the guy that is now not there because of the financial statement, which you
Well,
guys should
yeah.
think twice about.
Aren't schools also involved in learning this?
Because the school taxes.
Yeah, so
Yes.
that's probably why he's
You
still
know,
on
school
school board.
districts- School
That's what
districts
they're doing.
also have to approve
To like the
alerta.
new shopping center next.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
because I think the previous,
The local tax.
township supervisor always contacted me, because I think I was the point person with the school board. Or, not maybe with the school board, I'll take it back.
Isn't it
Anyway.
like local?
Excellent.
Revitalization.
That's it.
Right,
The
yeah.
motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion to move in second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion passed. It's like the old days when it was in July at the old place, it was so friggin' hot.